Yeah, man, it's another day, another Shop Talk radio here. Shop Talk video. Where's Dave?
Hello, can I come in? Let me in the chat room,
What
please.
is he knocking at the door?
Hello,
What is happening
hello.
here?
Hi, Chris. How are you? Good
Oh,
to
hey
see you
Dave, good to
again.
see you.
Hisashi Booty de na.
Oh, you seem more, I don't know, energetic today. Did
Yeah,
you?
I'm just animated, just feel real good, feeling real good. So,
That's good. I
and I have
feel
a
like
bit of a lazy eye, and one eye blinks faster than the other. So, yeah, everything's great.
I could use your enthusiasm today though, so that's good because
Wonderful.
I feel like going to outer space, Feel
Oh,
like
let's go. Let's blast off.
let's
Blast off.
let's blast
Yay.
off this off. I just was working on a site that already exists, which is this one. It's a subdomain. Aren't subdomains cool, Dave? I'm working on another
Love
subdomain site too,
subdomains.
though. They really are nice. That means you don't have to buy another domain. You might even be
It's,
juicing up the
it's
SEO of the
the
original domain,
yeah.
really.
Oh yeah. And it's the new buy a domain for a side project. You just start as a subdomain and
Yeah,
then
kick it on the
work your way
subdomain.
in. So there you
Yeah.
go.
You may never need to be. In fact, I like that. I will never make this not a subdomain. But the whole point of it is just this was made years ago, but the idea was like, let's explain what serverless is a little bit as far as I understand it. And in the context of front end development.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that the more interesting thing was to build like a list of companies in this space. So it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, do I need functions? Well, Architect does that. And of course, Lambda does that. And Cloudflare workers are that. And Netlify does it. But, and just kind of explain the stuff. So these like grids of companies are almost like the interesting part of this
Yeah.
site in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and what was cool about it I wanted to make it a public repo, and one of the reasons I wanted to make it a public repo is because then the content, as you know, is just it's like literally in content. So each one of those companies that makes functions is just a markdown file. So if somebody else is
Easy.
like, I want to add another company that does markdown files or update something, they just come in here and just make another. It's always funny how they do front matter and
It could be so much better.
yeah,
Call me. GitHub, call me.
this is what you would need to contribute, and you just put the right markdown file in the right folder and it'll show up on the site,
Yeah.
link to the
Awesome.
thing. Yeah, totally. So, and then I even like screwed around with Netlify, like their what do you call that? Their little CMS, Netlify CMS, but they have
Yeah.
like a way that it can be used publicly. I kind of tore that down. The site used to be on Gatsby, is another backing, and I rewrote it in Astro. And so
Hey, Astro.
that's part of it. But so I know I'm jumping around in a lot of different things here, but I just wanted to give everybody the background of what this site is. So right now, if you were to go to the repo and look at it, it's the Astro site. If you really wanted to go back in time, you could just look at previous commits or look at the PR. That's the move to Astro PR. It would be a mess to look through all this, but at least you can get a sense of what it took to move from one to the other. I was, not nothing like terribly against Gatsby, but it was a little more complicated than I wanted it to be in Gatsby, and I started to get kind of like afraid of the site in a way. And I could have picked anything under the sun to rewrite it in, but it was really about the act of rewriting it.
Yeah.
Is more like what made me happy, and I wanted to try Astro on something real. I have looked at Astro before. I have watched the video. I have written blog posts. I'm interested in its approach because of a couple of things. One of them is that it's JavaScript focused.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like JavaScript, and that the output of it has no JavaScript. So how weird is that, right? You write in these JavaScript components being the key word there. Huge fan of authoring in bits. I like having my components folder. I like having a card component that I can just send in props and then design my card around those props. That's how I like to work. And I also like to work with a really fast compiler that has really fast hop module reloading. And I like all that stuff. And Astro has that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm going to do this. And knowing that this site doesn't need any freaking JavaScript, it's just a static site. There's no login, there's no forms, there's no state. This is a site that requires absolutely zero JavaScript. Gatsby loaded a whole bunch of JavaScript to do various things. including make the site an SPA. Nothing against SPAs, but this site really doesn't need that at all.
Yeah, if you
Especially,
get your like page to page transitions
yeah, look at how
fast enough,
clean that
I can
is.
barely know. I see the little
Oh,
satellite bouncing, but that's maybe
there's some
more. Yeah,
positioning stuff. There's a little bit of paint holding that could be better here. I think some of it has to do with I can't speak intelligently about it. Is it as absolutely clean as an SPA? No, but do I need that JavaScript ball? Also, no. You know,
right. Yeah, I think like you're trading simplicity, but what I'm looking at there in your card JSX, you're still using like
well, that was a part of the beauty, right? I'm still using it. I didn't have to rewrite the world to switch to Astro because I just left my React components alone for the
unless
most
you're
part.
using something like Gatsby image or something like that, or like
Right,
you had
right.
like a big buy-in on one side, but now you're just kind of it's just there,
You
right?
know, I'm going to have to investigate that. I know they are working on an image thing, but all these are little SVG files.
Yeah,
So, and these big ones are, I serve them off of Cloudinary just to make sure that they're the best they can be, but they are pretty hefty. So
yeah,
if you were to look at my, you know, network tab, it wouldn't be the most performant site in the world, largely because of these huge images and the custom fonts and stuff. But you know what? Don't care. Sorry, everybody.
yeah. You're fast in other ways.
Yeah.
You're on a budget. Well, that's cool. So what I guess so Astro's the new kid on the block. It has a bunch of it's basically you write these Astro files or and then you like inject these you can use your JSX components inside
Right.
your Astro files, right? Is that kind of
Yeah, you can and Svelte and Vue
oh wow.
and maybe
Does it?
others. Yeah, like you don't have to you just kind of use whatever framework you already had kind of thing. And there's you know there's examples out there of ones that use like all three because it
Yeah.
strips out all the client side facing JavaScript anyway, so you don't it doesn't really matter. You can still screw up. You know,
Yeah.
you can tell it to load the JavaScript if you want to. It's opt in, and then if you had a Vue one and a React one, wow, you'd be really making a bad site. But that's just technology. It just that's what it does.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd look through, you know, you can see the site and how it works, but I also think I reduce some technical debt in just how it works. Astro feels like a very clean option for a site like this. I thought I'd go through some of this, you know, starting with the package.json. Astro has a little CLI here. So the, you know, npm run dev kicks it off. It is
Yeah.
now Vite powered, like
Yeah.
everything
So
else in the Ding world lately. And
is
it's
it just
truly,
zoom fast?
truly pleasurable. Here, I'll spin it up. So I always chuck an NVMRC in my on my computer's weird, and I wanted to use the latest Node anyway. So I'm just getting really
I'm
used
gonna
to
say
any project.
one. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, good. All right, I'm gonna say 1.8 seconds start. That's my guess.
Oh
Good
yeah,
guess. Here
let's
we go.
check. npm run dev. At 1, 2, yeah, probably about that. Maybe a little longer, 2
239
seconds.
milliseconds there.
Oh,
Okay,
oh, that's what it
maybe.
says. But
Yeah,
it seemed like there was some time
a
up
little
here
hit
that,
before it
yeah,
started. But all right.
right. So that's the local version of it. Spins up just fine. You know, there's Vite kicking that out for me, and it does feel like, you know, here if I go into some styles or something, where's like a background. Oh, that's a fallback background red. Look at this site was so long ago that I wasn't sure if linear gradient was supported well enough.
So you did
Red.
it.
Oh, look at that. If
All
almost
right.
sometimes when you're working on it, it feels like it's anticipating your command
Wow, that was
S.
pretty fast. So
Yeah. Oh, jeez, it's
wow.
just nuts fast. And it's processing SAS and injecting it. That's hot module reloading at work. Of course, that works for your JavaScript componentry as well, you know. So
Yeah.
that's Vite and Astro running. Really nice. That's relatively new for them to have switched their compiler over to Vite land and thus
Yeah.
ES build and all that stuff. So there's nothing magical in here. Notice that React, you know, if you want SAS is in there. If you want React is in there. That kind of stuff, because Astro it's not totally bundled into
Uh-huh.
Astro, and that
Yeah.
there's a special renderer. I think even this was an evolution of. I think originally it did bundle that stuff, and people are like, I don't want React on my computer if I'm not using it, you know. So I
That's
think they kind
fair.
of debundled it. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is
I
fair.
mean, it's like if you're gonna, it's probably easier too. It doesn't have to intercept. It can just say, if you're using this, then this is how you
Yeah.
use it. So yeah.
all this crap came from the scaffolding. You know, they have a, what do you call it? You know, you just like npm init astro and
like a generator.
you know,
yeah.
A sitemap. I should probably turn that off. I could care less. If you want to change the port and all that type of stuff. Yeah. Very little action in here. Just the fact I have to tell it I'm using React, which is nice. I just started playing with SvelteKit too, and it looked, there's all this kind of crap in there too, but it felt a little verbose. I like how trim this is, you know, very little going on there, but it has the stuff you need. Like if you need to, you don't want it to build to a dist directory, you want to call it my dist, then that you know, you have, this is the kind of place where you do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, you know, we always joke about like config hell, you know, but that's pretty minimal. I mean, minimal. And you're running React, you know, like,
right, like where's the config for Babel and stuff? Or I don't even know. I mean, I think you have control there if you need it, but it has smart defaults. I can do a build. Let's see how long a build takes. Probably like 5 seconds ish. Seems like could be a little could be a little faster maybe, but it makes a dist folder then, and this is what gets deployed. You know, that's what like Netlify sees or whatever, and these are all. You know, this thing is just.
Well,
it's the routing is because there's an indexed folder file in there.
JavaScript file to be seen. You wrote the whole thing in React.
No, there literally is none. There is one little piece of JavaScript that I wrote that happens to be on one page. I'll show you that in a minute, I guess. But yeah, then I have this. You know, I have a VS Code folder in here. I kind of like this because you can do stuff like files exclude. I think cache is back from the Gatsby days, but I can go like dist in here, and then it will kick that out of there. I don't need to see that. You know what I mean?
I should do that more often, but I don't.
I don't need to see it in search either. You know,
absolutely, yeah.
That way, if you do a command find in project, it doesn't return crap like that in there. I think that's nice. Chuck it in the repo for everybody else that does it. I think this was just a remnant of using Netlify Dev, the CLI, which I'm not even really using at the moment, but. That's fine. The advantage being that I think Netlify Dev is smart enough, we could even try it, to just know what is happening with your site. Look at that. It'll just spin it up. So you'd never have to remember what special commands you're using. You just use Netlify Dev. And then I can deploy from Netlify Dev too, but that's what it needs this to know where to go.
Site ID. Yeah.
So there's that. That's pretty cool. But here's Astro itself. I think we covered everything in here. That's pretty neat. The public folder is magic. It took me a little bit of minutes to figure that out. I think all SSGs have some kind of concept of that. So if you need to link to something at the root, that's what this folder is. But no processing happens to this folder.
So if you want an image, do you say /public /images /
yeah, exactly.
Or do you do /
so if there's
images?
Styles globally, let's see if there's any. Well, here I'll just go /images. Everything that. Oh my gosh, what is it finding here that needs to get removed? I thought I told it to remove. Yeah, it's just you start everything with /images. That took me a minute to figure out, even because I didn't realize that the folder had to be named public and here, all that. There's always magic and stuff. Okay, but you can't put your SCSS in here because it won't be processed. That has to be in source for Astro to do what it does, and that's just more Astro magic. It does your Sass for you. Why not?
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't hate the convention just because it does make sense. Like public static stuff, I think Nuxt calls it static.
Yeah, you just have to know. That's all.
There's a special directory for stuff that doesn't get crunched. There's a directory for stuff that gets crunched, and then it spits out into a dist, which does not get crunched. So
industry standard stuff there. Love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Next has that pages folder, which is basically your routes. You don't have to write any code to do routing. None. You just put the files and folders in here. Yeah. So here's index. That's the home page of this site. So you'll see, the power of serverless for front-end developers. That's what we're looking at here. This is a .astro file. This is obviously unique to Astro.
Yeah.
I wanted a layout. Layouts are a little weird in that you just have to make one and use it on every single page. You can't just say use layout or something. You have to literally use it like a component. So I made a layout. the layout is the whole document, right? That's the whole kit and caboodle, doc type, all on down type of stuff. Little magic there because there isn't actually a doc type, little dumb stuff like that. You know, so that's it. And then it has this concept of slots, you know, Vue's very good at that too, but it's like, that's where the stuff goes when you use this layout.
Yep. Pass it into here. Everything goes into here.
But this is great. You need to have something like that. So all my pages use a base layout. Then it has this, you know, it's a little bit like a Vue single file component or a Svelte file.
Yeah.
You can just chuck a style tag in there. If you want it scoped, you scope it, you know, that kind of thing. In this, if you want it Sass, you just say you want it Sass, and there it goes. Here's an example of that /images stuff. This is CSS that's specific to this page. So I just decided to put it down here because that's, you know, one of the powers of Astro. I think that's kind of a neat thing. And these styles won't apply to any other page, just this page.
Yeah. You know, that's how I code all the time, and it feels like an anti-pattern when you chuck a script block into like the bottom of the PHP file or something. But guess what? That's how you do it here. Hey.
So there's a couple of static pages like resources. Oops. Oh, I killed the server. Huh? npm run dev. Like every other project in the world, run. There's one thing that like has some. Oh gosh. Hey, buddy.
You got extra classes in there. You shouldn't have done it.
What did I do? I'm gonna open my my tower. Did I change anything? Serverless. Oh, maybe it just doesn't. Maybe I changed something in here that doesn't like it. Don't look. I hate to want to mess with stuff live and then it's weird. PM run down.
Don't do it.
I bet it's still broken.
Something on that page. It just
it goes. It was something with the config. Oh God, do not do that.
Commented out. Don't uncomment configs.
Clearly,
we learned.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's one thing that you can click on this page. Boop 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 boop. Yeah, obviously, JavaScript is required there, right? I'm gonna not save this. This is the resources page. So in order to do that, one way you can do it without any magic at all is just put a script tag. And then you have to write vanilla JS, and that's that. But you're in old school territory where you have to, you have to give an ID and query selector for it and yada, yada, yada. I think maybe that's because that's the ID I gave it. That's the old Chris and Dave trick where you don't even have to query selector.
IDs are
global.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you click it and it uses class list and stuff. I use no framework for this. What got me at first is like, how does Astro do like on click, equals, I wanted to do this because I'm so used to Vue and React and stuff, but you can't, that's like not a thing.
You can't do that no more. Does that harm the portability?
Well, if you want that, just use JSX and then spin it up. But then you're using React. So it's kind of like, it just wants you to be really clear. If you're going to do that, that's a Reactism. So use React or Vue or something, or Petite Vue. It just wants you to really know that.
Well, okay. Well, hey, I know how to use query selector and add event listener, so I should be fine.
Yeah, it felt kind of liberating actually to be like, oh yeah, you just like write JavaScript. So you click the button and then it looks for the cards that have the tag and stuff. I don't need to teach you
JavaScript in 2021. That's a bold choice. So then all that scripty, the YAML front script there at the top. That's like different. That's just for the component that's only on the server, component on the server.
Yeah, like look at this console.log. Hi, Dave. If I put that there and save it, you're going to see it there, not here. You'd think that you'd come into the console and you'd see it.
Yeah.
It's not there. All this JavaScript is like Node.
Yeah.
So so if you're it's a little weird. You're used to like working on projects and using this console to debug things, but you need to like switch your mind and use this console.
Oh, cool.
Kinda. It's a little more not as fancy.
Could be foot gunny. Yeah, it could be kind of like whoop, didn't realize. So especially because it handles kind of all this client side and server sidey sort of stuff. It sort of mixes and mashes between it all. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to kind of pay attention. It puts all the attention paying on you, doesn't it? So
Yeah, but it means this stuff is going to run during the build process as well, which is kind of what you want if you're, shooting your site out to Netlify or whatever, runs the build. All that stuff is done one time before it goes out, which is cool. So just to wrap it up a little bit, that the point of this page is that, you go to the functions page and here's all the resources,
Yep.
Right. So all the markdown files. Well, how is that done then? If I go to this one, hosting, I guess, you can see that Astro has some APIs that are unique to Astro. In this case, it's fetch content. Look for all the markdown files at this location, and that returns data. So if I go like console.log data here and view this page, it's just a crap load of stuff. Here's your markdown files. Here's the name. Here's the front matter. Here's the source, and here's the processed HTML of the markdown. You just get everything that you need, essentially.
That's great.
Then it's logged. And in my case, because all these cards are so similar from page to page, I made this like abstraction. And I kick over what's unique about this page, which is the title and the description and stuff. But then, this is the thing that takes the data and it loops over all the data and barfs out a card. And that's it. That builds the entire page. But so, this is an Astro page, but it pulls in a JS. We looked at this is still a React component. Doesn't matter. Could have been written in Vue. It doesn't matter. It's just what syntax you like. The footer on this page, it's just a little JSX. If I was writing it from scratch, I probably would have done an Astro file, but because this already existed from the old site, I was like, why touch it? It's fine, perfectly fine the way it is.
This is cool. I need to try it out. I do a lot of like component driven development, obviously, and so with design systems and whatnot. So it's like, this is very much up my alley to try out. So
yeah. I was confused by plenty of stuff. The public thing confused me. I had a problem with SAS that would kill the entire Astro server as I was working. I was like, what is that? And had to go into the Discord to talk to him about it and figure that out. So certainly some rough edges. That fetch content idea is interesting, but it only works for markdown files. So you cannot fetch anything else. That's just something you'd have to know. They also have a fetch thing, which I used. If you look at the ideas page, where is that? Oh, see that line there. I tried to use fetch content for this JSON. Didn't work. I tried to use fetch, another API they have. That would have worked, except fetch only works for fully qualified URLs, which won't work here. So, and I was like, how the heck am I going to do this? It just so happens that Node can import JSON like this just fine. You can't do this in the browser yet. Remember, there's that weird as or whatever it is. Yeah. But this works fine in Node, so I was able to get done what I needed to get done. But it was one of those like, this isn't documented anywhere. What's the plan?
Right. Okay. Yeah. That could be tricky.
I got it. Not too big of a deal.
Yeah.
What I ran into would be different from what you would run into because you just know different things and whatever. But cool. In the end, pretty light amount of code, I'd say, to pull this off. Feels like kind of the right technology to do it. One little tiny foot gun thing, I don't know if that's the right word to use here, is that Gatsby, when I just installed Gatsby at the time, it installed a Gatsby offline plugin, which used a service worker to do stuff. I don't even know what it did exactly. Yeah. But when I deployed this new site, after I landed that big PR and it went out, the service worker was still there for everybody.
So all the pages
it just crashed the site,
JavaScript files and
resources and stuff that just didn't exist, which is too bad. And I'm like, I still to this day don't really know the perfect way. What I did though, it just so happened if you hit shift reload, it would not load the service worker, which was fine. But then you hit reload again and it was back. So what I did was I put in source layouts, Astro, a little chunk of script that just found all service workers and unregistered them. That way, at least if you command shift refresh, this will run and then it's gone.
Yeah. Okay.
So I
Okay.
was like, just leave this in place for a few months, I guess.
Perfect. Until February 2022. That's
Yeah.
great.
I don't
Bless you.
freaking
Bless you.
know.
Yeah.
I have no idea when they expire or how that works.
Well, they like shouldn't, but
Oh,
hopefully
you
people
mean
come
never maybe?
through.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Super cool.
Cash is cool. But no, I mean, I guess I wouldn't have ever thought of like that being like something you have to consider when like migrating your static site, but makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, well, you're still in school in Japan, so I wouldn't expect
Yeah,
that you
it's
know a
not.
lot of stuff about.
Yeah, I'm a high school student in Japan, and I'm going to take my college entrance exam soon. So thank you very much. I'm
Well, good
studying
luck
very
with that.
hard. Yeah, thank you, thank you,
Uh-huh.
thank you.
And if any like monsters attack your town, I assume you're ready for that.
Yes, I always also have a Mechazoid that I can deploy and defeat any sort of invading monsters or kaiju or anything like that.
Yeah, any attacking service workers that come along.
That's a lot harder than what I do. Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you. Matane, bye.